If President Biden's suddenly so popular and inflation is no big deal, then why are Democrats afraid to act like they think they're going to hold the Senate? The answer is because they've been here before, and over-reliance on polls that show a tiny separation within the margin of error has yielded results that don't tend to favor Democrats at the state level. While polls spent the better part of July and August showing good numbers for Democratic Senate candidates in places like Ohio, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona, and Wisconsin, September hasn't been quite as friendly. There's one metric beyond polling, however, where the GOP has shined this year and come out ahead. That measure is primary voting participation, a good gauge of which party seems most engaged and more likely to vote in the general election. According to an analysis by David Byler at the Washington Post, Republicans have done well this primary season and outvoted their Democratic counterparts. As early voting begins around the country, every political data point would appear to marginally favor the Democrats. According to pollster John Couvillon, 52% of 2022 primary voters cast ballots in GOP races, while 48% voted in Democratic races. The quick takeaway is that a number of only are +4 in terms of primary voting participation isn't the double-digit numbers seen in 2010 or 2014, banner years for Republicans. The more thorough takeaway indicates that the GOP is more fired up than the Dems when it comes to an enthusiasm to take back the House and make a serious run at taking the Senate. Vance was having a tough time in Ohio, and places like Arizona and Pennsylvania seemed like they were off the table entirely. For the moment, the storylines have changed, with Ohio and Georgia both starting to tip Republican, and other states starting to appear as if they could offer more of a toss-up status than leaning toward Democrats. According to more data analyzed by Byler, Republican primary participation hit a record high this year and added to the total from 2018. This year appears to be different. Voter interest is high among all voters, and Republicans have a primary turnout edge. In 2010 and 2014, in the last two midterm cycles in which Republicans enjoyed a turnout advantage, voter interest was low and Republicans won by out-mobilizing Democrats. Both parties were highly motivated, yet Republicans managed to eke out a victory in a state that went 10 points to Biden in 2020. Once again, participation by both sides was off the charts, but the GOP actually came out stronger, with more people seeming more determined than ever to vote red. On the other hand, in wave years, sometimes even problematic personalities can be carried higher by overall frustration and drive from voters intent on expressing support for a national agenda. To feed this analysis, Time ran a story this week about the blue mirage of polling data that's got some Democratic strategists uneasy. Put simply, responsible Democrats know they have been here before, seen the palm trees in the desert, ordering cocktails with matching umbrellas, and walked away big losers. Still, the hue matters when billions of dollars, control of Washington, and maybe the future of democracy itself is in the balance. In recent cycles, pollsters supposedly missed the silent Trump supporters who either refused to participate in surveys or lied about their true allegiances. Even though the polls were collectively off by about 4 points, according to an industry autopsy, they weren't entirely afield. They just missed some of the shading. Missing some of the shading matters in races where less than a handful of percentage points will decide the outcome. If not, Republicans will see some surprising numbers on Election Day, and the end result will be something few predicted. With inflation still raging and the Biden recession still looming over the economy, Democrats had better hope they motivate voters in greater numbers than they did during the primary.